Because it takes a lot, and I say this from experience, to walk away from conversations that you know, like, someone is just dead wrong. And people, when they're wrong, they be loud and wrong. Right. I'd be like, no.
They're never quiet wrong.
Right. No, they're never quiet wrong. It's always loud and wrong. And it takes a lot to be like, you know what, because sometimes, especially in certain conversations, especially during this everything that's going on in the world,
yes,
it's hard to, you know, say your thoughts without being emotionally involved and getting emotionally enraged.
Yes.
And it takes a lot to just be like, to step back and be like, I am not giving this energy or time.
That's good.
And I'm not going to let it ruin my day.
That's good.
1, 2, 3, let's get it. Pit squad, pit squad, pit squad, pit squad, pit squad, pit squad. Welcome back to our channel. We are in a very good mood because the presidential election has officially ended and Biden did win. Whoever you voted for, it doesn't matter. We are all still a human race and should be fighting for people's rights.
Yeah, it shouldn't even need to be said, but it has to be said.
It has to be said. We, on this channel, I mean, we do support Biden, but at the same time, we realize that they're both not good people. But
they're not good people, but nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
Biden is not God. He's not going to fix all of our problems.
That's it.
But, you know, in terms of morality, there seems to be a clear
consensus.
So that's why we're just excited.
So you know who we voted for.
You know.
In case you were wondering, that's who we voted for. But anyway, that's not what this video is about today. This video we're going to be talking about...
It is.
Is it?
Yeah, because I feel like...
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
And the main reason that we picked this topic is because I just feel like that there's such a big divide. Excuse our dog in the background. She wants to be seen. There's such a big divide between everyone, I feel like, in a general
the blue and red Democrats and Republicans.
That's spilling over to like everything else.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is a way for everyone to be able to disagree, because we all have different perspectives and views. We all should be able to disagree if we do and still be able to live in peace.
Right.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how to work with, live with people that you don't agree with.
That's it.
And the premise, the message, the verse that the message is going to come from today is Mark. It's basically love yourself as you love your neighbor. And it's Mark 12:31.
What does Mark 12:31 say, Chambry?
Excellent question, McCray. Let's read it.
Okay.
Thus saith the Lord. The second is this. Commandments that he's giving us to do. This is the second. Love yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these.
Yeah.
So just sit on that. We'll bring it all home in a minute.
And just in case you didn't, because some people are like, well, I don't love myself, so why would I love my neighbor? You should love yourself.
That's step one.
So that is
one.
the prerequisite.
Yes.
And then you should love your neighbor.
Yes, we talk about that a lot on this channel. So help yourself bruise through. We have some on confidence building. Like I said, we have some on all topics. So go watch those and then come back to this one if you don't love yourself first, because that's the prerequisite to the course.
Onyx, do you love your neighbor?
She said yes. Okay, so the very first one, I'll let you kick it off, sis.
She wants to get up. Maybe this is our dog. Say hi, Onyx. Okay, so you said you love your neighbor, right? Even though maybe they don't give you enough treats, things like that, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so my first thing is when you're dealing with people that you don't like, I feel like we come from a family that we do a lot of like jokes. Or I feel like just black people in general will try to make a joke out of anything.
True.
Just to like keep peace.
Keep it light.
And so I feel like when you're dealing with people who maybe don't have the same viewpoints as you, or you guys are just like at odds for whatever reason, because you will experience people like that just for no reason. They don't like you. Keep a sense of humor. Just like make little jokes, crack little jokes, or if you can find it in your heart to laugh at their awful jokes, do so. I have laughed at many of people's jokes.
Many a joke
that were not funny. But you sometimes you just kind of have to bite the bullet and do so just to like keep the peace.
Yeah, I agree. My first one is going to be appreciating each other's diversity. So whether that's, of course, we are black women, if you could not tell, and
proud to be black.
Proud black women. Onyx, I'm gonna need you to sit still. I made you to sit still. No, you may not buy my new hoodie. Bite my new hoodie. No. So sorry, guys. It's like having a kid.
It really is.
So even as a quote unquote minority, hate the word, but quote unquote minority, it's still important for us to view and appreciate everyone else's diversity. So that's white people, that's Hispanic people, that's Asian American, everyone. And to that point, if I'm working with someone who is a different nationality, before we even start the argument or debate, whatever it may be, I need to think intrinsically where they're coming from a cultural standpoint. Like she said, all of our family jokes all the time. So I can't necessarily go into an argument or a disagreement joking necessarily, because if they don't come from that background, then we're already starting off in a raft. So just making it easy for them to understand my diversity and that I'm giving them a cultural background for myself if they are ignorant to it.
Don't take things personal. So sometimes people, like I said, some people just don't like you just because they just don't like you, or they sense something about you that they want to aspire to be, but they're not quite there yet. So jealousy sets in. And so because someone might approach you, and this is not even just working with someone, but even dealing with if you're in a service-based environment or things like that, and people have attitudes, just don't take things personally, because sometimes that person could have had a bad event happen to them that day, or they could just be having a really rough life or going through something really traumatic and can't find the proper way to they can't find a proper outlet to release those things that they're going through. So they'll take it out on anybody that they see fit. But you just keep your ground and just be like, you know what? This is not necessarily about me. This is probably a spiritual thing, and it's nothing I can control. So I can still sleep well at night with my Egyptian cotton sheets and silk pillowcase, unbothered. You know what I mean? So just don't take things personally, unless it's an impersonal attack, but then still try not to take it personally, I guess. But do with that what you will, but yeah.
Don't take it personally. Again, just knowing where people are coming from, I think, is the priority here.
Yeah.
Okay, the second one that I have is think before you voice your own opinion. Will you be able to back it up? So I think this is really important, just for the simple fact people just like to argue. And at that point, you just need to remove yourself completely from the conversation. There's no winning. They're not going to win. You're not going to win. And it's not even really about winning, but you guys aren't going to be able to hear each other if it's... Yeah, just stop right there. But if you are able to justify where your stance is coming from, you have a higher chance of convincing, or at least opening the mind up of whomever you're having that conversation with, because they're like, you know what, I never thought about that, versus you just out of the side of your neck coming up with some random facts or some random viewpoints that have no basis. So making sure you have a story to justify, if you have a story, if it's stats, if you have facts, just having some type of background to where you're coming from, I think is really important.
Very good. I also think especially in the workplace, a good way to get along with people is to avoid controversial topics, especially in the workplace. So when you're working, you definitely want to avoid topics like the election or your specific political views, or sometimes even ideology or your religious background. So I say that with the asterisk next to it, because I feel like a lot of people are Bible thumpers and very religious, and will try to beat somebody over the head with their specific, whether it's Christianity or whatever religion they are. You have to if you're trying to have a conversation with someone about religion or something like that, and you're trying to almost convert them or see your views, you don't want to come off and be like, you need to do this, or it's bad that you're doing that, because then that turns people off, because then they feel like you're judging them, things like that. And so why I put an asterisk next to it is I openly talk about Jesus Christ and my faith at work if I feel led to. So if the conversation permits, and if Jesus is like, now's a good time to maybe like witness or like say something to that person, I'll say it. But like in general, you don't just go around like, you know, just, I don't know, thumping the word.
Hitting people over the head with the Bible.
Right, because that's not the way that you bring them in, because people don't want to be pressured or pushed into anything. But if you show yourself as being a beacon of light, like we just read actually in Matthew, then people will be like, wow, why are you always so calm and collected and da 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 da. And then that's a perfect outlet for you to say like, oh, it's Jesus. Like, he's the reason why I'm able to stay so calm all the time. Because if it was not for him, I would have been bopped you across your head. But because of him, because of his grace, I am saved and anew. Oh yeah, and just avoiding controversial topics, so like abortion, political views, certain things that you know will cause like a rift. Because like I said, like what Sharmby said, everybody does not have the same personal views, and that is okay. We can still coexist, and I can still love on you regardless of your views. Well, unless it violates.
You can still love on them.
Yeah.
You love the person, not the sin.
That's good. Sometimes you have to be reminded of that. You know what I mean? It's easier said than done. Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree. My turn?
Yeah, your turn.
My turn. I think you took one of my points, which is great. You summed it up perfectly.
Cool. On to the next.
The next one is finding a common ground. So, for example, again, of course, the election just happened, and even though, like she said, topics of politics and things like that really shouldn't be discussed in the workplace, because they can just cause, and then they cause you to look at people differently.
They do.
It can be really
like,
dangerous.
Wow.
Which is why somebody asked me the other day, like, who do you think your boss, like, what side do you think he's on? I was like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I
know
want
what
to
side
be.
my boss is
I
on,
want to
though.
be ignorant because I don't want to look at anybody differently. Which is why I do agree that politics and things should be talked about in the workplace. Outside the workplace, that's fine.
Yeah.
So to that, someone they were talking about the election and everything, and there was a diehard Democrat and a diehard Republican, and they both were for the person that was running. I think there's a difference between being for the person that's running and being for the office that they're representing. So they were going back and forth, and nobody was listening to understand. Nobody was listening to hear the other. It was just going back and forth. It was just, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
So I feel like instead of doing that, and when they tried to bring me into it, I was the middle ground. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna even do that. I see your point and I see your point. So
Man, I really don't see none of y'all point. They're both.
I see your point and I see your point. And there's some things, and I'm not saying that to do that for anything, because if, someone's like, I like to murder people just for fun, there is no common ground. That's just wrong. But in most cases, it's not as dramatic as that. You can find some type of middle ground where you're like, you know what, I don't agree with that, but I do agree, or I can say, I do value the point that you made about, and find something that you guys can both agree on. So that's kind of like the leeway out of like the risky hot conversation that you guys are headed towards if you don't get to that point.
Depending on what the conversation is about, like you said.
All depending on what the conversation is about.
Certain things you just, like you said, you can't find a middle ground on.
Yeah, and at that point, again, you just have to know when you have to leave. I think, like Nicole said, I'm not going to harp on it, but just know that your conversations, it's not for you to win. It's just for you to express your thoughts, your opinions, and if it changes people's minds, great.
Or educate, because some people are just very ignorant to a lot of things if they don't get a chance to experience that.
Right.
Because of whatever, there's different privileges on different hierarchy and different aspects of life that everybody maybe did not get the chance to experience, whether that be socioeconomic status, racial inequality, things like that.
Right.
Because if you're ignorant to it and someone is educating you on it, and then you're still not listening, that's like a different vibe.
Yeah, different vibe. But even then, knowing that you're not in a conversation, an argument to win. I think that goes across even like marriage,
that's true.
Friendships.
Because you just keep going back and forth.
Because
you're like,
not about
well, you're still wrong.
Right. And I think that's where
right.
you get to the point. And I've had to do this a couple times in the office because, again, there's different viewpoints and people try to drag you in. And that's another thing, knowing when not to be dragged in. Like, I'm not going to go there with you. But people will ask me, like, you know what? I'm not gonna even go there.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna do it. Just because I know how you feel about it and I know how I feel about it. And we're not going to agree. And I say, you know what I say? I say, you know what? I respectfully disagree. And that's okay. And I say it just like
with
that.
all disrespect, I disagree. I'm kidding.
I respectfully disagree. Just leave it at that.
It depends. You know what I mean?
All right. Okay.
Situation.
Next one.
We can see who's the tyrant one. The combative one.
Clearly, God's doing a new thing.
Yeah. My next point is, don't be fake about this, but like I try to be like when at all possible, and this is not even just in the workplace, but like in every aspect of life. If I like something about someone, I try to compliment them, just because little compliments go a long way of bringing someone's day up. So, like, I'll just find little things to compliment them, but I won't be fake about it. Like, if you really don't like somebody's hair, you know, don't be like, oh, your hair is so cute, and then be talking about them, 5 minutes later.
Vintage. So adorable. Thanks. That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
Right.
So, like, I think compliments are a huge perk to working with people who you might not like, or they might not like you, because it like gives them kind of like, oh well, I feel
softens their heart,
right? Like I feel like a booty hole for treating her bad when she's like over here complimenting me. So it definitely softens their heart, and I think everybody can always benefit from a compliment.
Agreed, 1,000%. Okay, let's see. Last one is. Oh, this is a really good one.
It's
okay.
A good juicy.
Very juicy. The last one is avoid personal insults. So, again, to what McRae was saying earlier, don't take personal offense. When you're in a conversation that they don't agree what you're saying, and vice versa, again, remove your remove your pride, and just remove yourself from the conversation. There's absolutely no need and or good outcome that comes from you personally attacking the person that you are in the conversation with.
Yeah.
It doesn't change their mind about your viewpoint. If anything, it only confirms their opposing view of your view that you're trying to convince them of. So just making sure that you're able to, and this is again much easier said than done.
Yeah,
we're saying this
back.
Like this is so easy. It's
not.
It's sometimes trial and error, but again, just making the effort to be a better to loving your neighbor better. Again, that's what all of this is about.
And steward over your emotions.
Absolutely.
It's really about emotional control.
Absolutely.
And emotional
maturity.
intelligence.
Yes.
Because it takes a lot, and I say this from experience, to walk away from conversations that like someone is just dead wrong. And people, when they're wrong, they be loud and wrong.
Right.
I be like, no.
They're never quiet wrong.
Right. No, they're never quiet wrong. It's always loud and wrong. And it takes a lot to be like, you know what, because sometimes, especially in certain conversations, especially during this everything that's going on in the world,
yes,
it's hard to, say your thoughts without being emotionally involved and getting emotionally enraged.
Yes.
And it takes a lot to just be like, to step back and be like, I am not giving this energy or time.
That's good.
And I'm not going to let it ruin my day.
That's good.
I'm going to continue and you have a good day.
That's it.
Good day. I said good day, did he?
And you know what the best thing to do in situations like that is kill people with kindness.
That's it.
Just smile as if like, it's like you're not enraged on the inside. And just go about your day. But really, I think tapping into emotional control and intelligence is really key in dealing with anybody.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the deciding factor where you choose to decide to go off on someone versus walk away.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
I think it takes like years of like getting to that point. Because like if you would have asked me 5 years ago, no. We're gonna argue to win, and I'm going back and forth, and I'm right, and you're wrong, and I'm willing to sit here for hours and discuss about why you're wrong.
Right, and I'm totally the opposite of that.
I'm still working through it.
You are, but even again, our personality is our night and day. She's very like outgoing. We've said this 10 times. Just a people person, just listening to people, loves passionate conversations. Like she said, she could just sit and argue about a point all day long. to me that sounds mentally draining.
But
I cannot do it.
The difference is, so like, and I don't even consider them arguments now. They're like more so discussions.
Heated discussions.
But it depends. Like sometimes if I'm talking with my mom, because we're both very passionate people, and we're talking about something,
I leave the room.
And it can become a, so to speak, argument because we both get loud. We're both not listening to each other.
No one's listening to anyone.
In general, sometimes like we bring each other back to like homeostasis. I love homeostasis. So we bring each other back to balance and be like, okay.
You said you were looking for a way to use that word.
I know. We bring each other back and we're just like, okay, nothing is getting resolved. So I'm going to agree to disagree, okay?
Right.
Because we're not going to come to a conclusion. But sometimes it's just good to flesh out those ideas, because then, like, after all the screaming is done, you have time to reflect.
Again, God is doing a new thing in her. I do agree with some of what she said. But again, I hope this video was super helpful. Again, we know that we're in tumultuous times. So we hope this was just, again, nice and light, and just to show you, again, we're two different personalities, but we both see the value in loving your neighbor as yourself and treating them just, again, as a human being. You guys can disagree. We're sisters and we don't agree on everything.
We disagree right before we did this video.
I was gonna say that. Right?
She was irritating me.
And she was irritating me. But yet here we are. We're not being fake. It's no animosity. I still love her. I would do absolutely anything for her. So there's just, I hope that we can be an example.
Not an example.
Of showing you how you can love anyone.
Yeah. Well, it's harder. It's easier for us because we have their background.
Well, of course.
So
but I'm just saying, we just came out of a disagreement.
Right.
But I still would take a bullet for you.
I would too.
So I'm not saying you need to go to that extreme for like your coworkers, for example.
I mean,
but
if you love somebody.
To your point, yes, absolutely. I was just about to say that. But to your point, you should.
Not for, well, I feel like only
they're your sisters and brothers.
Only time that I'd be willing to take a bullet or put myself in harm's way or potentially like life threatening or ending event is for someone who I love, because that's what the definition of love is. You're willing to lay down your life for that person. Now my coworker, no. I love you through Jesus, with the through Jesus Christ, as a brother and sister in Jesus Christ. Will I lay down my life for you? No, I'm sorry, I won't.
Right. And see, that's where we disagree.
Just, I mean, that's
because
fine.
I think, to her point, love is the definition of that, and it says love your neighbors just as you love yourself.
We're gonna love while we're alive.
So, so to that point, you should, in theory, be able to do just about anything to help or save.
To help, yes. And to save.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not jumping a bullet just for fun.
Within conditions. So I think that's the difference between, like, because it doesn't say unconditional love. I'm loving my coworkers and neighbors,
like yourself,
and random people with the love to Jesus Christ with conditions. Very conditional.
Guys, we might totally come back in a year or so and be like, you know what? Scratch that whole video. We have a totally new outlook, and that's okay because God is working with us in seasons.
But this is where I'm at
right now. Again, we hope this is helpful. Love yourself as you love your neighbor. Stay rooted in love. She also wanted to show off her Jesus equals freedom.
This is from the Freedom Conference. Go hard for Christ.
Whoop, whoop. Shout out. Yes, please do. We will see you in the next video. Please like, subscribe. It really helps our channel.
It does. We're almost to 1,000. No, not really. We're almost to 200 subscribers, guys. So definitely share our channel with any and everybody.
All your sisters. All your sisters.
Yeah, just because we like having you guys. We like creating community. What authority!
Hey, Cardi.
It's a dog. Yeah, we're so like infatuated with dogs.
She's such a sweetheart. I love labs. We're going off on a tangent.
Yeah,
okay, guys, until the next one. Bye-bye.